How often do you find yourself feeling exhausted, struggling to keep up with the demands of the day? In our modern, fast-paced world, it's not uncommon to feel this way. Our lives are filled with numerous responsibilities, deadlines, and tasks, all vying for our attention and energy. We often find ourselves on a treadmill of activity with little time to catch our breath. It's essential, however, to remember the importance of rest. Rest isn't just about catching up on sleep or taking a break from work. It's about finding balance in our lives, replenishing our energy and nurturing our soul. It's about pausing to appreciate the blessings we have and reflecting on what truly matters. So where can we find wisdom on this topic? Interestingly, the concept of rest has deep roots in the Bible, particularly in the book of Exodus. In Exodus 28-11, we are introduced to the idea of the Sabbath, a day specifically set aside for rest and honoring God. The verse reads, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God." The Sabbath is not just about taking a break from our labors, but it's a time for spiritual nourishment and reflection. It's a time to pause and appreciate our blessings, to connect with our spiritual side, and to honor God. It's about stepping back from the busyness of daily routines and focusing on what is truly important. In essence, the Sabbath is a gift of rest bestowed upon us. It's a reminder that even in the midst of our busy lives, we are meant to take time to rest, to reflect, and to recharge. It's an invitation to find balance, to nourish our souls, and to honor God. In the midst of our busy lives, the concept of Sabbath reminds us to pause, reflect, and rest. So as we go about our week, let's remember this gift and embrace the wisdom of the Sabbath. Because after all, rest is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. Delving into the book of Exodus, we see where the idea of Sabbath originates. The term Sabbath is derived from the Hebrew word Shabbat, which translates to rest or cessation. Exodus 28:11 is where we first encounter the command to observe the Sabbath. Here, God instructs the Israelites to work for 6 days and rest on the seventh, setting this day apart as holy. The significance of the Sabbath is immense. It is the only ritual observance that is mentioned directly in the Ten Commandments, emphasizing its paramount importance in the lives of believers. The Sabbath was a day of rest and worship, a day when no work was to be done. This was a revolutionary concept in a time when the idea of rest was not a given, but a luxury. It's also worth noting that the Sabbath was not just about physical rest. It was a day to disconnect from worldly pursuits and connect with God. It was a day to reflect on the goodness of God, to remember His creation and His deliverance of the Israelites from Egypt. The Sabbath was also a sign, a visible declaration of the covenant between God and His people. By observing the Sabbath, the Israelites were visibly marking themselves as God's chosen people, setting themselves apart from the nations around them. Traditionally, the Sabbath was observed from Friday evening to Saturday evening, beginning and ending with the setting of the sun. This pattern of 6 days of work followed by a day of rest was established at the very beginning in the creation account in Genesis. God Himself rested on the seventh day after creating the world, setting an example for all of humanity to follow. The Sabbath, a day of rest, is a gift to us, a reminder to pause and honor God. It is a day to step back from our everyday routines, to reflect on God's goodness, and to rest in His presence. Remember, The Sabbath is more than just a day off. It's a day set apart, a day to remember and honor our Creator. In our fast-paced world, how can we integrate the concept of Sabbath into our lives? This question is more relevant now than ever before. Today, the idea of taking a full day for rest and reflection might seem like a luxury, but in reality, it's a necessity. It's a practice that can bring us closer to our faith and also have profound effects on our well-being. So, how can we observe the Sabbath in our modern, busy lives? It starts by setting aside one day a week for rest. This doesn't necessarily mean doing nothing. It could be spending the day in prayer, reading scripture, or simply enjoying nature. It's about taking a break from our regular duties and responsibilities to focus on our spiritual growth and personal well-being. The benefits of observing a Sabbath are manifold. Studies have shown that taking time for rest can lead to improved mental health. It can reduce stress and anxiety and provide us with the opportunity to recharge, leading to increased productivity in our work and personal lives. In addition, observing a Sabbath can strengthen our relationship with God. It's a day to stop and reflect on His teachings and to express our gratitude for the blessings we've received. It's a chance to deepen our faith and grow spiritually. But perhaps the most important benefit of observing a Sabbath is the sense of peace it can bring. In the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. The Sabbath is a reminder to slow down, to take a breath, and to appreciate the beauty of the world around us. It's a day to reconnect with our spiritual side and find balance in our lives. So, no matter how busy your week may be, I encourage you to carve out one day for rest and reflection. It's not just a biblical commandment, but a gift of rest that can bring balance and peace into our lives. Remembering to take a Sabbath can bring balance and peace into our lives. So, how can we embrace this gift of rest? Well, it's all about setting aside time for yourself each week to rest and reflect. Consider it a date with your spiritual self, a time to recharge and rejuvenate. This doesn't mean you have to sit idle. You can read a book, take a walk in nature, meditate, or even indulge in something creative. The key is to do something that enriches your soul and brings you closer to God. Remember, the concept of Sabbath is not about being lazy, but about honoring God and His commandments. It's about recognizing that our bodies and minds need rest, just as God rested on the seventh day after creating the world. The spiritual benefits of observing a Sabbath are immense. It can help you find balance, reduce stress, and deepen your connection with God. As we navigate our busy weeks, may we all remember to embrace the gift of rest, to honor the wisdom of the Sabbath from Exodus 20:8-11,